It's Thursday, July 3rd. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. Today on the show, we're looking all the way ahead to October 2nd, Municipal Elections Day. In order to have elections, you need folks to run and folks to support them. Today, we talk about why elections matter and why you should be involved. I've said it a bunch on the show, but big year election-wise. Lots of X marking in Newfoundland and Labrador. We got the federal one out of the way. We're waiting to hear about that provincial one. It's supposed to be before mid-October, according to legislation. So still waiting, but we know October 2nd for the municipal ones. And as like when we did the show back in Gander, back in the spring, right? We heard folks are trying to, drum up interest and get people engaged at this level of democracy for Newfoundland and Labrador to keep communities moving along and hopefully thriving. For you, the listener today, you can get in touch with us at any point. If you, the question we're kind of asking is, what kind of person do you think should get involved or represent your community for local municipal politics? 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. The signal at cbc.ca. And the text line is currently open, 709-327-8206. Here with me in studio, almost a full house. We've got Deatra Walsh here, Make Your Mark coordinator with Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. How you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Happy to be here.
Kate Cadigan, Chair, Equal Voice. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back in. And Colin Corcoran, CEO of the Community Sector Council Newfoundland and Labrador. Hello.
Hello. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you again. So, and now, so this is the in-studio portion. And on the line, Drew Richardson, Vice Chair, Director of Happy City. Hello.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. Thanks for, where are you two anyways?
I am in Fredericton, New Brunswick right now, my hometown.
Excellent. Well, the line is clear. So Drew's on the line. Happy City nonprofit aims to inform, encourage, and facilitate public dialogue and civic issues in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. I had a note come in for the show, and so I'm going to get to that first. And the note is, happy birthday to Deatra Walsh from Walter, Florence, Tayo, Bear, Penny, Molly, Shelby, Sammy, and Shiloh. Now, I think the last bunch are animals. Am I correct?
They are indeed.
Okay. All right.
2 dogs, 5 cats.
2 dogs, 5 cats. Well, they all sent me a note saying happy birthday to you today, so happy birthday.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all of them and to Walter for sending that note.
I actually think it was Bear who sent the note.
Probably.
So,
She's up to all kinds of things.
All right. Thanks for getting in touch, Walter, as always. Why should people care about municipal politics?
Oh.
Do not take up the rest of the show with your answer, Deatra, but go ahead.
I promise I will not. I will be efficient with my words. Why should people care?
Yeah. Like, why?
It's the most important thing.
There you go.
It is the most important thing. Where democracy works the best, order of government closest to the people, where you get straight answers, and you're able to engage with residents on a day-to-day basis on the things that really matter to them. Roads, infrastructure, recreation. Everything that impacts our daily lives is run through or facilitated through the municipality and local government.
Anyone else want to jump in on that answer?
That's textbook for me. Absolutely textbook. I think I need to iterate the point. It is the closest level of decision-making body that affects you the most. And so we should care. We should care about who our elected officials are. We should care about how thriving or how sometimes not thriving our councils are. And we should care because at the end of the day, these are our communities.
Yeah, I would just echo both Deatra and Colin that it's the closest level of government to the people and therefore one of the most important, in my opinion. I think that the decisions that are made at the municipal level affect things that you don't even realize they affect. Your snow clearing, your garbage collection, the parks, your streets, all of that. And those are the things that when you wake up in the morning and get ready for work and you put out your garbage and look at the road, that they really affect you in the way that your day goes. So I think that's one of the big reasons why municipal government is so important.
Drew, what about your thoughts?
Yeah, I think just to echo everybody's responses there, it's just local decisions and daily impact. That is what municipal governance is, and that's why we have to be so concerned about it because, your commute to work, your garbage collection, like everybody said, those are things that impact you on the daily. So we should be concerned about who's representing us at the city.
So then why is it, if it's so important, why so often, not just for Newfoundland and Labrador, and lots of places or democracies around the world at the local level, why can voting be so anemic? Like, why isn't there more uptake?
We're looking around at each other, so I'll fill the void a little bit. And so we run into this issue several times now with different elections, where voters at the end of the day they're voting and they become apathetic. We just came out of a federal election that's very fresh on people's minds. We know that there's an impending provincial election. We know we have a fixed date for the municipal elections. We know roundabout when the provincial is. And so I could see how tired voters and campaigns and campaign teams can potentially be. And so when it comes to voter turnout, I look at voter turnout for municipal elections or even for those who are choosing to run and taking that brave step to actually put their name forward and then run. And so we need to almost remind people just how critically important it is to be civically involved, otherwise on a council or actually voting. Because at the end of the day, we've seen it so many times, how many times that single vote matters, recycling bins aside.
Yeah.
And I would say that, I agree with all that. But I would also say that if we think about, where races happen from a municipal point of view, I think, arguably in larger municipalities, the propensity for a race and more candidates than seats would be likely. And people would want to get out, let's just say. But we see a lot of acclamations in Newfoundland and Labrador. And also in smaller communities through the work that has been done with Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador and just conversations with folks, a lot of people in the general population just say, okay, well, the council's going to run again, and they might just fill the slate, and they're doing a good job, status quo, everything's fine. So they're great. We don't need to get out and vote in the same way. Like, it doesn't feel like there's as much on the line, particularly when you're either acclaiming councils, and again, like I said, it's not a race per se, because the wonderful people have stepped forward again and said, well, if I don't, who will? Because that happens a lot in smaller communities, and some people are saying, yeah, I can do it again. But I think we're going to see change this year for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And something that I've noticed, I'm on the campaign trail right now, so I kind of have a firsthand experience with some of this, is there's confusion, especially in a year with so many elections. And that kind of goes off the voter fatigue thing, but also not being able to decipher what level of government is what and who does what. I find that kind of confusion can sometimes lead to apathy as well.
Yeah, I think it does it. When you look at your community, whether it's a city or a town, and you look at the future of your community. So, for example, let's take St. John's, right? And Drew, I'll go to you after this little bit I'm throwing out here. If you like or dislike the pedestrian mall, if you like or dislike some of the work to save some of the wetland areas, if you like or dislike how heritage is done, if you like or dislike how some of the building is being done or not done, all of these things are municipal things. And if you have interest in any of it, this is why, right? Like, things matter, to echo all of what you've already been putting out. Drew, any thoughts from you on kind of where the conversation is at right now?
Yeah, well, we were talking about acclamations earlier. I think Deatra brought that up. And in 2021, I believe Danny, Breen, Sheila O'Leary, and Ian Freud were all acclaimed. So that also happens in big cities. And so I think we just kind of have to, reach out to people. And there's great people that can be running in these elections that have amazing tools that they could put to work in our municipality in St. John's. So I think it's also our duty as people that are engaged in the democratic process to help people feel comfortable running in these types of elections. Because we're currently in this space post COVID where it's become significantly more polarized than it was in the past. And I think that turns a lot of people away.
We've got Amy Cody on the line, president of M&L, as well as a counselor for Grand Falls, Windsor. Hi, Amy. How you doing?
Hi, Adam. I'm great.
Where's your head at? As for either the hat you're wearing, and when you look ahead to October and trying to think about getting folks interested and hopefully having a healthy round of voting from everyone in the province for the municipal elections, what are you thinking about right now?
Well, I mean, personally for myself, I've already committed. I'm all in to run again. I'm very passionate about my role as a councillor in the town of Grand Falls, Windsor, and the work that council does. Passionate about being involved with Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador, and also at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities level. So many opportunities for learning and being able to be a contributor to your community, shape and form your community going forward, and it's so rewarding. So whenever I speak to anybody who asks me, do you think I should run? What should I do? I'm thinking about it. I'm on the fence. My first response to them is do it. Figure out the logistics later. You have a plan in place, but wrap your head around that campaign and committing to launching yourself out there into the world of municipal council. And, it will fall into place. There's so many resources available to you, so many people that you can talk to who can provide advice and assistance. There's financial supports available, there's business sponsorship, there's individual sponsorship that people are willing to help you, help run your campaigns. And your campaigns don't have to be expensive. We live in the digital age now, social media. I mean, you can, run your social media pages with none or very little cost. Signage, depending on the amount of signage you have, can be, cost effective. It's just so many tools available to you. So, depending on how elaborate you want things to be and what your resources are available to you, then, your campaign can reflect that.
Yeah, and door knocking is the cost is time and effort, right?
Exactly.
Get out there and meet
that's what
folks.
People want. They want to see you on the doorstep. They're not concerned about your flyer in the mail or your sign.
Flyers can actually be annoying.
Yeah, they want to see you. They want to see you at the doorstep. They want to, receive your phone call. They want to be able to speak to you in person and ask you questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's such a great point, right? Because you get a flyer in the mail, it's like, okay, I've got questions around this. I would like to talk to this person because the bullet points don't do it for everyone. What, you're talking about how easy, like the ways for folks to get involved. You've been around for a little bit now. If someone, like what other advice do you have if someone's kind of a little scared to get them over that line?
Just reach out.
Yeah.
There's so many resources. Like I said, Equal Voice is doing their campaign schools. You have counselors right across the province. It doesn't have to be a counselor in your own community. You can reach out to counselors in other communities if you want to, find out how things worked for them and what they want to do. Maybe you don't want to tip your hat yet. You don't want to, give it away that you're thinking about running for council, so you reach out to other communities just to get a feel from them. Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador is always a great support and advocate for municipal councillors. Our Make Your Mark campaign is full of videos and materials that you can use to get up to speed on what's involved, how to run a campaign, what to think about. Again, it's about, our communities, our council table reflecting what our communities have to offer and the individuals in our community. So we need, if you're interested, I strongly encourage you to at least ask some questions to find out, how easy it is to become involved.
Amy Cody, thank you as always.
Always appreciate it. Happy birthday, Deatra.
Thank you.
Amy Cody there, president of MNL and councillor for Grand Falls, Windsor. Make Your Mark campaign. Right? Amy mentioned it. It's kind of why you're here today. Tell us more.
Right. So the Make Your Mark campaign, it's, I guess, a product of MNL. It is supported by the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador through the Department of Municipal Affairs and Community Engagement. We run the campaign. I say that in a very broad sense, ahead of the municipal elections to do this very work, to engage people, to get them to think about running, to engage voters, to, heighten civil discourse, and to get people out to volunteer. This year is particularly important, so we've got a little more resources behind the wheel here. We are going to be doing a more widespread ad campaign. We had a soft launch, actually, at the Municipal Symposium, the MNL Symposium in May. And since that time, we've been doing outreach to our members. We've done survey work. I can speak to the statistics of where the current sitting councils are right now in terms of their feeling going forward, whether or not they're going to run again. And we've been, as Amy mentioned, we have a landing page with resources. And I think one of the most exciting things that has happened is we've been doing weekly webinars for Municipal Mondays. So actually, Colin and I had a great conversation on governance versus operations, and we've talked about policy. We've talked about all kinds of things. Next week, we've got Yvonne Jones on talking about municipal politics as a stepping stone. Some of these, it's an hour of time on the radio, just like here, but you can go in afterward and see what folks are saying who are working in situ. So really, I mean, this whole campaign is fulsome and really trying to encourage and get the word out. And most importantly, before I finish on that, is to Amy's point and to your question about, how do we get people engaged? You don't have to have anything in particular to run for council. You don't have to be this or that or something else or whatever you think is not good enough to do that. If you know how to make decisions, problem solve, manage things, organize, advocate, work in a team, you can be on council. And that pretty much captures just about anything we do in our daily lives. If you're a parent, you can be on council.
Yeah. Are you a member of a community? Do you have thoughts? Well, guess what? Go for it.
Exactly. And
lose the imposter syndrome and take the step. Yeah.
And exactly. And that's exactly it. And we have to look to each other and say, hey, you over there in the grocery store, I see you doing inventory and talking to clients and you're really great. I think you could be good on council. Hey, are you an accountant? I'm looking at Colin.
Oh, no.
You might be good on council. Anybody. And we have to look to each other and we have to help plant the seeds of confidence in people who may be on the fence. Unwavering belief in yourself, that's confidence.
And the age range for this, Colin, how old were you when you became mayor?
I think 21 turning 22.
There, right?
Yeah, and I got to agree there. There is no technical requirement. There's no professional certification that leads you to join council, and particularly for a lot of smaller municipalities like Riverhead, St. Mary's Bay, where I'm originally from, I think it's more of an internalized conversation. You need to ask yourself 3 questions: do I have a passion for my community? Am I doing this with good intention and purpose? And will I ensure that at the end of the day, to the best of my ability, I'll treat it like a professional role? And if you can ask yourself those 3 questions and honestly just tick 2 of them off at a time, then take the leap and just do it. It was a very similar situation when I was on council as a counselor. I was on council as a counselor for a couple of years, and it was actually my great uncle who highly encouraged me to join council after I turned 19. And he's the reason why I even said yes. And then it was being on the council for a couple of years, learning the ropes, and then going right back to Amy mentioned, all the resources with MNL, with the province and others, and even reaching out to others, there is a supportive system out there, and you don't have to feel like you're alone or doing it by yourself.
Yeah. 19 on council, 21, 22 for mayor. Resources out there. So if you are a mom out there somewhere, a dad out there somewhere, a student out there somewhere in Newfoundland and Labrador, if you're working a job out there somewhere, any of this, and you're thinking, you know what, I'd like to be involved, I think my community matters, then maybe you should kind of make some calls, poke around with M&L, look at the Make Your Mark campaign, listen to some of the conversations, and do some math in your head.
And get yourself a over-enthusiastic person to woo-hoo you on.
Get a booster, right?
Yeah.
Get a booster.
Get a hype person.
Yeah.
Before we go, we've got someone on the line. Before we do that, I just want to briefly, Drew, who is on the line as well, Vice Chair and Director of Happy City. What are you folks doing with Happy City, trying to get people interested and involved?
Yeah, so we have our Jane's Walks. We do annual Jane's Walks every year. So we have those going on in July and August. So we have one on July 18th, Changing Landscapes, the Natural Heritage of Long Pond and Larry's Brook. And we have one on July 26th, 27th, and August 9th. So that's just like getting people engaged out walking around in our community, and connecting that obviously to municipal politics, and how, everything around you is related, in one way or another. And then once we have all the candidates, I believe it's between August 28th and September 4th, declared and ready to go, we're going to be hosting some candidate talks to hopefully, promote their platforms. Everybody's welcome. We want people to, come and listen to the people running and make better informed decisions about who will be on council.
Yeah, right. Communicate. Get that information out there so people can take it in and digest it. Thank you for that. I'll be back shortly. Let's go to the other phone line. We've got multiple phone lines here on the signal. Curtis Delaney is on the line, Mayor of Adams Cove. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Adam.
How long have you been involved with municipal politics?
Not that long in the grand scheme of things. It's only been just shy of 2 years. I only came in on a by-election there a year October past.
Why did you get involved?
I guess primarily, you want to do your part to shape the town that you live in. Put forth your effort and try to make the place that you live in a little bit better.
So this spring, you face something I think that is like nightmare for any mayor anywhere. Was that in your head at all as you were signing up for this process? How do you come into something as mayor and deal with a wildfire that destroys homes in your community?
Well, it's definitely something that you don't think about when you take on a role like this. No. It's and something you hope you never have to deal with. But it's in the moment, you make the best of the resources that you have, and you do what you need to do. There's things that needed to be done, and you put forth your best and do what you can to help everyone that needs it. Like I said, it was something totally unexpected, but the fortitude of the people here in the town and surrounding the town were remarkable, and we were able to get through that and slowly come out of that dark place back in May and move forward to a brighter future.
What have you learned about leadership through all this?
It's what we've had out in this area, especially. It's I think from a leadership perspective, you need stability, and that's something I think a lot of smaller towns are probably dealing with, and we've struggled with over the years here. It's a big thing. It's having the people, to put forth their time and effort, to do a job that needs to be done, and it's something that, like I said, all small towns struggle with. But from a leadership perspective, you have to take that role and do what you can in order to help the people that are around you and as a team to, like I said, to move things forward, whether it be with the fire, whether it be for, daily, daily things that need to be done. But, to provide that little bit of a role, to help everyone sort of pull together and for a common goal.
I mean, it's quite the range, right? I'm just looking at my guests here in the studio as well. You're thinking about garbage collection and recycling, and also you've got at this other end, emergency response management, preparation, and just kind of trying to help folks get through something like whether it is a wildfire or flooding or anything else that is going to be thrown at us in life. And it just, I feel it underscores a lot of the conversation here today and what you're saying too around the importance of having active, engaged folks involved in their community, because you can see having someone like yourself and folks here and others we'll hear from in this show in positions across the province, why it matters.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's like you said, it could be a number of different things. You never know what the day is going to bring. It could be, like I said, a water line break. It could be trying to get a contract in place for garbage collection. It could be, like I said, a disaster situation with a wildfire or flooding or anything else. So it's one of those things. It keeps you on your toes, that's for sure and certain. And I think, that in any position like this, I mean, you try to have sort of a level head, take things as they come, work through them, and then move on to the next thing. And so, like I said, it's great when you have stability within council, a group of people that work together, and that goes a long way. And hopefully, I mean, we've, like I said, there's a lot of smaller towns. I mean, even since the last general election out here, we've had 4 by-elections. So I think there's only one person on this council that was elected in the last time around. So it's trying to keep stability, and I mean, with municipal politics, I mean, a lot of the times you're moving into this role with very little experience, so you're trying to catch up, and it takes a while. I said to someone, it's a full calendar year in order to, really wrap your mind around how things work, how things are done, make those connections with the province and with M&L and different things, and it takes a while, like I said, just to bring yourself up to speed, then to be able to move forward. So when you don't have that stability, it like I said, it sets you back a good ways. And so we're hopefully now that hopefully after the next election now come the fall, we'll be able to maintain that stability and move the town forward.
Mayor Delaney, thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Curtis Delaney there, Mayor of Adams Cove. Stick on the phone lines for 1 minute. Marcia Porter is calling in. Hello, how are you?
Oh, hi. How are you doing, Adam? I'm really good. I'm just out here on this beautiful day plucking some of the little dead flowers off one of my baskets. I'm good.
It's a nice thing to be at on a warm or hot and humid, depending on who you ask, summer day. So I hear you're running.
Yeah, it's something that I thought about for a long time, and I think you touched on the imposter syndrome a bit. That can I really do that? But I really care about the community. I live here in St. John's. I've been here for many years, and yeah, I sort of meet the criteria that I've heard some of your guests talking about. Definitely a care about the community and a desire to be connected and to help people connect to the community. So yeah, I thought, why not? I have some more time.
That's great. And do you have now, like Deatra was just saying, everyone needs a booster, right? Someone to help them out. Do you have anyone helping you out with this yet, or are you still looking?
I'm still putting that together, but I think I've got some, yes. Okay. But I'm still yes, there's still lots of work that I need to do. And I guess that can be intimidating, right? It can be a bit intimidating, but I definitely care about this place. And, I came here many, many years ago, and I came from PEI, so, I love islands. And St. John's is such a great city, such a special city. So, I have that kind of perspective too. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested and still working on getting things together. But I thought I'd call in.
Thank you. I love the fact you called in. And before, one other question for you: what kind of when you talk about perspective in St. John's, what would you like to see for your city?
Oh, my goodness. It's such a great city. As I say, there's so many great things happening, and the character and the heritage and all of that is really unique. And I bet you all your guests could say that, too. Sometimes we don't realize, right, what a special place this is. So in all the work that we do, I love people to keep that in mind that, I've been to many, many places. And like you, Adam, I lived in Japan years ago. And I've been across, I've been to many places. So in all the work that we do, I always want to keep that in mind, that there is so much good stuff happening and there's so much good work to do. I find, and I know that your guests will also agree, it's very alarming to see such need in the community right now, to see so many young people out. I see them all the time in front of supermarkets, in front of Tim's, and I feel so badly for them. It's just, that's something that I care very much about. This clearly, not everybody is benefiting from not everybody is feeling maybe connected to their community and able to take part, and even just being able to feed themselves is a huge issue. I definitely care about things like that.
Marcia Porter, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care, you too. Bye now.
All right, folks, this is The Signal. I'm Adam Walsh. Today, we're looking ahead to October, municipal elections, and we're talking about why they matter, why they are important, what happens, why being involved in your community for municipal politics and elections really is something that matters and can help the future of your community. Here with me in studio, Kate Cadigan, Chair of Equal Voice Newfoundland and Labrador, Deatra Walsh, Make Your Mark Coordinator with Municipalities N.L, and Colin Corcoran, CEO of Community Sector Council N.L, on the line. Drew Richardson, Vice Chair and Director of Happy City. All right, we had a bunch of, there's a lot we could kind of dig into here. Who wants to jump out with initial thoughts? Kate, I felt you shifting there, like you had something to say. So I'll go to you. Any thoughts on what you heard?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved Marcia calling in. I'm so glad that she's running, and she brings a really great perspective to our city. I think those are the conversations that are being had amongst people living in St. John's, particularly. 'Cause that's where I am from, so that's what I see. But the need for connection, and I think that's a great perspective to bring when you're running for municipal politics or even just volunteering. The ability to connect your community, whether that's someone in need or connect them to resources or family to a summer camp. Municipal government has that ability to connect. And I also loved how she touched on the imposter syndrome thing. At Equal Voice, we spend a lot of time researching and talking about the reasons why women and gender diverse individuals might be hesitant to put their name forward at any level of government. And this year we've kind of taken a special focus on municipal government. And imposter syndrome is real, but I loved how Marcia was just like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it, kind of rip the Band-Aid. And like Deatra said, it's confidence. It's having your woo person next to you who believes in you just as much as you believe in yourself, and sometimes even more, because that's what we need. Yeah,
there can be a sea of voices out there, but if you've got one or two people or a little tiny small group that you can go to for advice and to bounce stuff off of and to support you, that's all you need. And that's whether we're talking politics, we're talking sitting in a radio chair, or anything else in life where you're doing it. That's a little bit that I've been kind of picking up from hosting this show. Any other thoughts from Deatra, Colin?
Oh, so many things. First of all, thank you, Marcia, also for calling in. I think a lot of people feel hesitant to speak on the radio, and public speaking deters people from, it's part of the imposter syndrome. Can I do this? Can I speak? And the answer to that is yes, you can. And I loved the joy and enthusiasm, and that's what I think we need to hold on to. There's a lot of joy and enthusiasm in this kind of work, even though it's hard and it is not well paid, if paid at all. In fact, most municipal councillors operate as volunteers, and that's a reality that can be a deterrent. But at the same time, to Amy's point earlier, there's so many benefits. I want to riff off of the why not, and I want to quote my mother. I grew up in Lewisport. Donna Walsh, if you had to say to her, I don't know if I want to run for council, and I don't think I can do it, and she'd say, sure you can. You need someone going, your bay mom, as we've talked about. You need the bay mom.
Find your inner bay mom.
Find your inner bay mom who's going to say, don't be so foolish. You can do that.
I mean, it's a great message. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's true. It's like, go on by. Come on.
Yeah.
Just go ahead. What's the worst that can happen?
Absolutely. And one final point, and thanks so much. I'm so happy that Curtis was able to share some space and time with us today. Just hearing his story, coming in on a by-election, talking about stability, such an important point. And, we know that there's so many councils, including his own, that have struggled to reach that stability. But it's great to hear there's a positive light ahead. And I would venture to guess perhaps he's thinking about running again. And in terms of when you're facing a crisis or a difficult decision or a water main break or a pump that's gone down, you're not alone. And I just want to give a shout out to the wonderful volunteer fire departments across our province. It is emotional. It is authentic. You're never alone in an emergency situation because those folks will be there in an instant, and they were in his community from all of the Conception Bay North region to support him and his fellow councillors and residents, and it was an amazing thing to witness. So just folks, if you're thinking, you're not sure, and you might be a little bit scared, you're never alone, ever.
And as you're listening, if you want to phone us today, also folks like with Marcia calling in there, it is Safe Space Radio here. You give us a call, you talk about your thoughts. In this case today, we're asking, what kind of person do you think should represent your community? So that if that person is you, then give us a call too. Or you could just talk about the what you think for the nuts and bolts and what should be inside someone for running, the type of leadership you would like to see, or any other thoughts around the municipal elections coming up. 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255, The Signal at cbc.ca for emails. Colin, thoughts?
Oh, too many thoughts. Deatra's gone back to my own experiences back home. She referenced, because we had a conversation about one night where I went to we had no water.
I saw you perk up. I was like, this is going to be a water main story.
It is, and unfortunately, our community still struggles to a little bit around just being able to have access to water. A very basic necessity.
Such a Newfoundland and Labrador story, though, isn't it?
I won't get into boiling anything at this point, except boiling the facts down. So
Good one.
So. The challenge is that, and Chris really highlighted it, there's a lot of differences between municipalities. Their resourcing, their ability to pay councillors, and as Deatra rightly pointed out, the vast majority of municipalities in this province are volunteer-led, are volunteer-run. And so the challenge in that, as always, is with the lack of resources, and when working with constrained resources, you have mayors who are in ditches. You have a mayor who should have no business touching a municipal water pump whatsoever in the middle of the night with a flashlight, just trying to take it apart and reset it and put it back together again and following the line to see if the pressure actually went up. But and for people listening, it's eyes wide open kind of going in.
That's page 23 of the Mayor Handbook.
Yeah, that's the insert that to give you afterwards.
Okay. Where's the water pumpy thingy to do the clang clang with?
Listen, we write our own stories.
Yeah.
And so the important thing is to always hold the pen when you're doing so. And for me, in that moment in time, I learned how to read water levels, reset a pump, and then understand water pressure. And I didn't learn that before going into council, just like Curtis didn't learn emergency coordination of an entire crisis situation. And just like we're learning things as we go. And I think tying those two things together for the voters out there and for community members out there, it does take courage to put your name forward, throw your hat in. It does take a certain amount of vulnerability to do so. And the kindness to remind people, a lot of these people are passionate, they're there with a purpose, and they're working their professionalism as well into it. And the vast majority of them are volunteers. They're there because they care. Let's center, when we have challenges arise, when we have disputes arise, let's go back to the center of caring and remind ourselves of that as we're encouraging people to run.
You should probably put that message. There's a bunch of I don't know if you've seen these. I know you have. On Facebook, little community message boards, right? That people have. That would be a good message for some of those.
Oh, I hope this is recorded
I've seen
then.
the range of conversations in them. Some points are excellent. Others, and we'll get to this in a minute because we've got another caller. I want to get to Drew. The question of what disincentivizes, what demotivates, what pushes people away, and some of it's bullying. And I'm quoting the notes I have that from getting the show ready, but bullying and some real poor behaviors that are out there. But we will talk about that shortly. Drew Richardson with Happy City. Do you have any thoughts you want to add at this moment?
Yeah, we were just talking about joy and excitement and all that type of stuff. And bringing that, like Marcia called, and that enthusiasm is just infectious, right? And I think we need more of that in this space. Mainly, you were just brought up, Adam, the bullying and kind of like the naysayers, or somebody that's getting really frustrated with you on social media. I think we need more of that, because that kind of is a way to fight back with people saying those negative things about you. So, and that's where, Deatra brought in, like, your yes man is very important in these situations. And I don't think I can stress that enough. When we did our campaign school, every single individual that had run or done a campaign said that that was the most important part of their campaign, to keep them mentally healthy.
Yeah, have the person.
So I think that's a really important point.
Let's go to the phones. Sherilyn Rumbold is on the line, Deputy Mayor of Norris Point. Hello, Deputy Mayor. How are you?
Hello. How are you guys? I'm good.
Good, good. We're just talking about municipal politics. Tell us, why did you get involved in municipal politics when you did? And how long have you been involved?
So I'm actually in my first term, and I went right into the deputy mayor position due to encouragement. So I know Deatra loves the word encouragement, and it is the recruitment. So in a small town, everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
It's basically the way it goes. So getting your name put forward on a nomination ballot, it's personal. They really do believe in you, and they believe in your voice, and that you have something to say, and you're going to help your town grow. And I think that's a really beautiful thing when someone sees that in you, whether you see it in yourself or not.
So when you started, you're talking first term here, you get in, you're kicking the tires, figuring out how it all works. What was the learning curve like as you started to see the responsibilities of a deputy mayor, of being deputy mayor for Norris Point?
Oh my goodness. There is no way to describe how big that learning curve is. But as you go through it, there's tons of training opportunities involved. The biggest part of it is definitely networking. And through that, you get to learn how other people deal with things, and you build the confidence in yourself and how you can actually take these issues on.
So then looking at ahead to October, how's it looking do you think, for your community for interest in the upcoming election?
So it was brought up earlier about acclamations, especially in rural towns, and that's what we faced 4 years ago. I think a lot of that has to do with, I think it was mentioned earlier, council members tend to stay, and people get comfortable because they do the job. The town still runs smoothly. We have members who are in for 20-plus years. And I think you really need to nurture the confidence in the people in your community that you see that could be incredible assets. You don't have to have any prior knowledge. No prior experience is necessary, and I think that's really important to push. And I know I'm going to be running again, and I'm really excited to see who else is going to come with me.
What, before I let you go, I'm just curious, for folks who don't know, what's the best thing about Norris Point?
Oh my goodness, the people, of course. The views. If you go to Grossmorn and you don't visit Norris Point, you are missing out.
There's something wrong with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor Rumbold, thank you so much. I appreciate your point of view on this. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Deputy Mayor there, Sherilyn Rumbold of Norris Point. All right. This is the signal. We've got, 12 minutes left or so. A lot of great points there. I want to go back to, and Deatra, I'll go to you, for folks who don't run again because there's a lot of pressures with the job. And I'm not talking about the day-to-day pressure, but some like that bullying bit that I mentioned. How do we get around this? Because I see it. I see it daily. I see it when I look at different, and I won't name the communities, but it's pretty much every community that's got, where you can post, you're going to have, I'll call it noise, ranging from people being angry to really, at times, inappropriate. How do we deal with this? And this can go provincially, federally as well, right? Toxicity in our world and systems around us. So what do we do?
Well, so just to your point, for those who don't run again, just to share those statistics, when we surveyed current members, so we had about a 15% sample of all councillors who are sitting currently. And of the sample that we had, 50% said they were going to run again, which is great. About 30% said they were undecided, and just about 20% said they weren't going to run again. And for the reasons why they weren't going to run again, those varied. It could have been, I've been at this for 28 years. I think I've done my part. Some folks have, health challenges. And yes, bullying and harassment have come up. Actually, I just did a discussion this week on Monday with Craig Pollitt of Strategic Steps and Pollitt Strategy Inc., and they do a lot of work around this on incivility. What's it look like? What are councillors facing, and what do we do about it? And this is not unique to Newfoundland and Labrador.
No.
I think the data that I cited there was 63% of councillors who participated in a piece of research on this had experienced some form of incivility, much higher in Quebec, and actually in the province of Quebec they've done a lot more sort of tools around it, including fines for when that happens, et cetera, et cetera. The truth of the matter is people need to have outlets to voice their concerns, their opinions, of course, and to have an engagement with their leaders. But it crosses a line, as Craig and I talked about, when the intentions are potentially vexatious, to quote the legislative words, or malicious. And, to your point about kindness, people do face tremendous attacks, abuse, threats, and in some cases across the country, death threats. Is that really where we're at? Is that really like sort of how we engage with one another when we don't agree? Because the reality is we're not going to agree on everything. And your value system might be different than mine. And I think we're challenged by even nationally and south of the border with a very poor example of what happens when people disagree. We should all be able to respect one another's opinions, and in the case of governments, decisions aren't made because in a theoretical world, decisions are made in the best interest of community by a team. It's not necessarily because you don't like so-and-so or this or that or whatever, or you're trying to do bad things. We all know there's examples where certain things happen that may not be correct, but then there's tools for that, like the Municipal Conduct Act, like other things. But those tools also have been used to, they've been weaponized and you talk about ATIP or whatever. We're not going to get rid of these things because they're important. Mm-hmm. People deserve and should be able to have access to information. People should be called out and called in when they make bad decisions, say poor things, especially when they're in government. But we've got to find a better way to really kind of see one another from a point of view of, I don't agree with this, or, and maybe that's what Craig talked about was we need, and this is boring stuff, but governance is key to this. Good policies, clear roles, who does what. And when people are doing things that are not fitting in with that kind of view, then, they have to be taken to task for that. And, with respect to social media, and I'll end on this point because I've said enough, I'm sure, you got to rise above, and it is not nice, and you just have to ignore it. And in the short term, there are mechanisms to deal with it, but just let it roll and let it roll off. And if it's so bad, and there are ways to manage it, don't be on it. You don't need to be there. No. Be somewhere else.
And use that buddy system, right? That booster person for you, because no matter if you're doing anything in life that is public, there are going to be people, no matter what, who won't be about what you're doing. And then there's going to be a certain number of people who are going to be not about it in a not nice way. And you just got to...
Yep.
That's what your junk mail inbox is for. Hey, Adam Walsh. Anyone else have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that this is something I've thought about like making my decision to run for council, this is a huge consideration in what that future looks like.
Yeah, you're jumping in, right?
I'm
you were
jumping in,
and
yeah.
here I am,
full steam ahead,
putting all this nonsense out there. Well, it's not nonsense; it's really important. But I mean, some scary stuff is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it is scary, and I think we need to acknowledge the fact that that's a consideration in this decision and the reality of what it might look like to be on council. But one thing that I've kind of kept in the back of my mind as I'm doing this is, those people tend to be louder than the ones who support you. There's always people who are supporting you and in your corner. They're just not always as loud or as out there as those who are, calling you out. And I think we do need a culture shift away from the name calling and the abuse and harassment. I think it's one thing to call out a policy disagreement. I think it's another thing to call out a personal someone's personal character or something, that is nothing related to the argument at hand. And I think that's a culture change. But, when you care so deeply about the work that you're doing, I think that always rises above those who are naysayers, as Drew said.
Drew Richardson, I want to go back to, we only have a few minutes left, so final thoughts. Give me either a look ahead for Happy City and other things you'll be doing with the municipal elections coming, or whatever else you want to say to kind of wrap up.
Yeah, so I want to reiterate Deatra's and Kate's point there. A municipal government is dealing with a problem or like a multitude of problems. There's multiple routes to go about that problem and fix that problem. If you have a disagreement, it is not with the councillor's character, it is with the way in which they're going about solving that problem. So like Kate said, it's a policy issue, not a personal issue. We care very deeply about these things, but just remember that these people are human as well, just like you. So harassment shouldn't be tolerated at all. I mean, you can have disagreements, you have, the right to have your opinion and the way in which we go about solving an issue. But I completely disagree with any personal attacks on our representatives. It's just not the way we should go about our disagreements. And now to move to what Happy City is doing. I mentioned that we're doing the Janes Walks and the All Candidates Forum. So for everybody listening, you can find us at Happy City St. John's on all of our socials, and we'll be posting dates and times for all of those things as they come up in the coming months. So stay tuned.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much, guys.
Colin, any final thoughts from you?
Just think about all the experiences, and I've been in a really nice position to be sitting in a lot of council chambers, particularly over the past couple of years, as we engage with councils on celebrating volunteerism. And I can always tell when that is going to be a contentious council meeting. Yeah. And I thought one really neat thing that one council did is they named it up front. They said, we know the agenda is going to look like this. We know a lot of you here are frustrated. We just want to reiterate what our policies are about having civil conversations. Yeah. We just wanted to remind people that the people up here are volunteers. And I thought it was a really good way to kind of set the stage. And so I just kind of want to move into the positive area for a second. A lot of people with political aspirations, they'll often hear the phrase, keep your powder dry. Wait, hold your resources until you're ready to actually to light. And so it also takes that match. So for those who are out there who have been keeping their powder dry for far too long on engaging in local government, let this be your match.
Light it on fire,
Light it up.
folks.
Let's go, folks. Let's go.
20 seconds left to you, Deatra. Final thought.
Let's go. Let's do this. Get out. Don't be afraid. Lots of support. And woohoo!
There you go. And if you're just joining, if you're just kind of tuning in late here, we've got a full show we're going to put up on YouTube afterwards, also on the CBC Listen app. And it has why you should think about being involved in your community for the upcoming municipal elections. The last little bit, we were dealing with, a little of the negative stuff that's out there, but the full show, there's a lot of boosting and advice and everything else out there. So if you're tuned in late, go back and listen to the beginning every day. Thank you so much for everyone here in studio today. Thank you, folks, for listening. The Signal at cbc.ca if you want to get in touch. tomorrow, Friday, right? Friday already. The first Friday of the month, which means John Gushu will be here. We're going to hit pause on the news and do a trivia show. He quizzes you, you quiz us, you stump me, and then I send books to somebody. That's how it works every month. Bye.